Good morning, I'm Lauren Carter-Jones from MPTS and I'm joined today by Carl Yates from ProAV and we're going to talk about the Pixboom Spark.
Thank you very much, Lauren.
So Carl, tell me a little bit about this camera.
Yeah, it's really exciting. So we've been working with Pixboom now for a couple of months, brought on to represent them in the UK. They're a really exciting company. So they're a Chinese camera company. This is their first camera. It's been a successful Kickstarter campaign. And so for the last sort of year and a half, I think, they've been really busy at work after having it successfully funded on Kickstarter, making it actually happen and be here in the flesh. They're just at the point where they're starting to ship their very first Kickstarter orders and sort of put together the finished final firmware and everything like that. So yeah, it's been a long road, but it's finally here and it's getting a lot of attention. So it's a high-speed camera. There really hasn't been that much innovation in high speed over the last, ever really in the industry. There's the Phantom, which has been doing great stuff, FreeFly with their Ember cameras doing great stuff, and now we've got Pixboom as well.
So when we're looking at sort of the specs and the nitty-gritty of this camera, what's stand out to you?
There's a few things here which Pixboom have done which is set to really change the way you actually work with a camera like this. So firstly, it can do the same sort of things as those other cameras, 4K 1000 frames a second, scale that down to 2K, which crops in to 1080p, you can get up to 1800 frames a second, but it can go as high as like 4000 even if you go right into a small crop, which sometimes for scientific purposes or analysis or something like that you might want to do, but for more cinematic sort of productions, you're going to want to be 4.6K, 4K or 2K. And so it can do all those high frame rates. But what they're doing that is significantly different to everyone else, which I think is going to make the biggest impact, is they're combining both the good image quality and the very fast workflow. So if anyone's worked with a Phantom, for example, they're incredible cameras, but they're very slow. You need sort of engineers on set. There's a whole process to working with them. It's definitely specialist work, which takes a lot of time, suitable for slow motion, slow production, slow motion. These new sort of generation of high-speed cameras are really trying to shake that up a bit and move a lot faster, which is what we're really interested in. It's a very simple workflow that just a ordinary operator, ordinary productions can actually work with as part of their set without having to have specialist tools, specialist training, anything like that. So the workflow is there, but the main other thing that they're doing, which is going to really change things up, is the sensor tech. So it's the first high-speed camera to use a BSI sensor, so backside illuminated sensor. That is very widely used across all the rest of the cameras we used in the industry, but it's the first time it's ever come into a high-speed camera like this. It's a super 35mm sensor with a global shutter, so you get no distortion in your movement or anything like that. It's reading out the whole sensor, every single frame, all of the time. And it's doing that obviously at those incredibly high frame rates for the slow motion. But because it's BSI and because it's got dual native ISO of 400 and 1600, it means that you can work with this in 25% of the light that you would need for those other cameras. So you've always needed a lot of light for high speed. Let's just take 4K 1000. To be at the right kind of shutter speed and shutter angle for 1000 frames a second, you need to be at 2000th of a shutter. So even with that, you need a lot of light. Plus all those other cameras, they're around ISO 400 for their ISO, and you cannot change that. So, any sort of lower light situation, you can't use the camera settings to balance and compensate for your higher shutter speed. Mm-hmm. And so, you need a lot of light on a production that's doing high frame rate stuff. So needing 25% of that light is going to really, really change things. So over on our ProAV stand, we've got a little demo area that we've built, which I've stolen the camera from to have it here for the talk. And it is just a 300 watt flexible LED above a little tabletop with a product and some coffee beans bouncing all over it, and then two little 60 watt cop lights either side, and even those are down at like 10 to 30%. So we're really not talking about a lot of light, and we're talking about ordinary products that most people in the industry already use and own already. You're not talking about big banks of HMIs and huge, big, powerful cob lights at 200, 2400 lights, that kind of thing. You're talking about the normal lights that we all use, like surrounding us right now. And you can do good slow motion work with this because of that sensor technology.
So we're talking about a little bit of a sustainable
Massively.
impact.
I mean, if you've ever been on a shoot that is dedicated for high frame rates, you have a lot of light. Like if you're running a big HMI, you are drawing a lot of power. And so, yeah, it has a massive sustainable impact, massive. Because not only is it 25% less light is needed, so you're saving you're saving 75% on your budget there and then, but also the faster workflow, you're able to do it in an hour rather than an entire day. So not only are you running less lights, you're running them for a fraction of the amount of time as well. So it's a massive sustainable impact on a production.
Wow. So what kind of productions and areas of the industry use high-speed cameras like this and are going to benefit from this hitting the market?
So there's two answers to that question. There's the types of companies and productions that are using it now with the sort of the tools that are available. And then there's the type of productions and companies that are going to be able to use it once this kind of camera is widely accessible, because this opens things up massively. So right now, particularly with the Phantom, if you want good quality high-speed work, you've got to have a decent amount of budget. So it's used on things like natural history production. You know, those big natural history productions are using it, but it's very slow and hard to work with in that kind of unpredictable environment. So it's really used a bit more in like the studio-based bits, the slightly more controlled productions in that. You can use it on narratives, but again, it's going to take over your entire shoot day when you do. So it's really limiting the amount of productions that can actually use that type of work. And also, you've probably got to get in specialist companies that know how to do it. The rental companies, there's fantastic rental companies out there that are doing that and that you tend to partner with if you're a production doing that kind of work. But now, I mean, this camera, it's not a cheap camera. It's about $13,000 for the body, but that's significantly less than any other camera that's been able to do anything that this can do. And so that is really going to open it up to much more ordinary productions. I can see that a huge amount of work for this in commercial space, because obviously product commercials, that final pack shots and all the rest of it, which is kind of what we've emulated on our stand with the coffee bag and the coffee bean setup. That makes a huge amount of sense. And so now that's not only going to be the high-end level of commercials that can afford to do that, it's also going to trickle down to everyone else. But also, you know, documentaries. We even took this on a YouTube shoot a couple of months ago, last month for KSI. We know the production team that make all that happen very well. They're good customers of ours, and they invited us down to try it on one of his shoots. And it's in a big controlled lit studio, but they're messing about, and I can't say what they were actually doing because it's an unreleased video. But we were able to just go hang out with them for the day and not have to dictate how the production is run by having a slow-mo camera on set. We were just able to be there and see if we grabbed anything good, and it worked really, really well. So yeah, it's going to open up that kind of extreme high frame rate work to so many more productions out there, which I think is the real exciting bit about. And that's for multiple reasons. One is the cost of the camera, 2 is the speed of the workflow, and 3 is needing 25% less light for the sensor tech.
Fab. And so we're talking going to what kind of time frame?
So it's been a long road for Pixboom. Obviously, making a camera like this actually happen and be physical that I can hold it is no easy step. So obviously for them, working with their Kickstarter backers has been a whole big process, which they've been a part of over the last year or two. They are now just at the point where they're starting to ship out to their first people that supported that Kickstarter. We are hoping that over the next 2-3 months, all of that backlog of the Kickstarter campaign backers will be processed and fulfilled. We're hoping that the first customers placing an order with us will get them end of July, maybe August. I think we're saying July for customers right now, but obviously it's a bit of an unknown. But we're hoping that's the kind of time frame for these to be actually available to buy ordinarily off the shelf.
Brilliant. So if people want to find out more?
Yep. So Pixboom obviously have their own website and YouTube channel full of stuff. We're ProAV, so we're obviously a reseller, sell pretty much anything here at Media Production Show. So we've got it up to available to pre-order on our website now. So join the queue. We've also got a couple of demo units in our production, in our ThinkSpace, which is what these ones are here. So you're welcome to come in to our studio and try it out for yourself, or loan it for one of your productions if you want to get used to it before making a purchasing decision. But yeah, get in touch with the team at ProAV. We'd be happy to help.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Well,
Thank you
thanks
very
for
much.
joining us.